is the release of Rogue Squadron ongoing. However, Rogue Squadron had delay after delay due to an issue. The film was originally scheduled to be released in December 2023. However, Disney withdrew it entirely from their release schedule and offered no meaningful explanation. According to IGN, Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman and a number of other films, was slated to helm a film about an X-Wing fighter squad that would be like Top Gun meets Star Wars. Disney could always mine the original Star Wars Rogue Squadron Extended World novels for content, even if they are no longer canonical, so there was no shortage of source material. Admiral Thrawn, after all, was introduced into the new Star Wars universe for Rebels and Ahsoka, despite having only been in books at first. Back in 2020, Jenkins' directorship was revealed, and the film was supposed to be based on both the books and the LucasArts X-Wing video games. However, Rogue Squadron had delay after delay due to an issue. The film was originally scheduled to be released in December 2023. However, it was postponed. However, Disney withdrew it entirely from their release schedule and offered no meaningful justification. What then transpired? Work obligations for Patty Jenkins probably played a part. She briefly abandoned the project completely to focus on Cleopatra. However, she is now only producing the film as opposed to directing it. However, there are also rumors that the project was a mess and that there were major screenplay issues. It seems logical that Disney or Lucasfilm pulled the movie off the release schedule if it was having trouble getting off the ground as a whole, even though they could have worked out around filming conflicts. From Star Wars' official channels, even the original teaser featuring Patty Jenkins speaking to the camera has been removed. Does this imply the demise of the Rogue Squadron? In essence, sure. When asked about the concept, Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, told IGN, "That definitely is something that we still talk about." Regardless of whether it becomes a series or a film, we can therefore infer from the response that Star Wars Rogue Squadron is not in fact a working project. Disney has postponed its film releases. Nevertheless, they are currently on hold. It might be given another go even as a series in the future, but since the corporation is reducing the amount of content it produces, that would require a guarantee of success. The reason behind the cancellation of the Star Wars Rogue Squadron movie can therefore be attributed to pre-production issues. For the first time in 4 years, Rogue Squadron was set to be the grand return of the adored blockbuster franchise to the big screen. Rather than sticking with its original plan, Disney removed the movie from its long-term release schedule, which could mean it was cancelled. Patty Jenkins' dogfighting proposal was possibly the worst of all the ones they proposed to abandon. Big choices that affect the whole franchise are frequently made by the Star Wars franchise at relatively short notices. Fans shouldn't be shocked if a single movie performs poorly any longer. The company's entire approach should change. That being said, this cancellation can indicate a change driven more by a success than by failure. It appears that Star Wars Rogue Squadron has failed completely. One of the most eagerly awaited films in the long-suffering galaxy far, far away was the movie. For the past few years, the brand is mostly focused on Disney Plus streaming, but many fans still want to see Star Wars return to the platform that first made it popular. Despite being absurdly profitable, the latest trilogy incited constant criticism and solidified the reputation of Star Wars aficionados as one of the worst online communities. In light of this, Star Wars has managed to maintain its stability in between trilogies. While there are many intriguing projects in the works, many fans are experiencing a crisis of faith as a result of the abrupt cancellation of the Rogue Squadron movie. Rogue Squadron was supposed to be an action movie about the X-Wing pilots in the Rebel Alliance who fly high, not to be confused with the same named N64 game. The story was supposed to introduce a slew of new characters, a group of brazen young hotshots who are fighting for their chance to fly and participate in the epic space conflicts. The late Patty Johnson was supposed to direct the 2 Wonder Woman movies. Her father's experience piloting F-4 Phantom II fighter bombers in Vietnam served as an inspiration to her. If this movie ever hit cinemas, anybody who was paying attention would know precisely what they were in for. Star Wars meets Top Gun in this film. It should have been possible for any director, screenwriter, or producer to enter Disney's headquarters, say those words, and leave with hundreds of millions of dollars. With overwhelmingly positive reviews, the much anticipated Top Gun sequel is making history this year, while Star Wars recently passed up the opportunity to make their own version. Despite all of Star Wars' massive financial successes throughout the years, the franchise isn't often one to follow the crowd. Usually, the franchise doesn't release genre parodies of other works in an effort to gain some notoriety. This scientific fantasy subgenre accounts for the vast bulk of Star Wars content. They get enormous rewards when they stray slightly from that genre. The most universally adored component of the Star Wars universe to be released in decades is The Mandalorian. By veering away from the characters and plots that fans have grown tired of and towards something fresh inside the same galaxy, Rogue Squadron may have achieved something akin to this. Disney appears to have realized that expanding the franchise and adding new characters is undoubtedly the best course of action. As of this writing, the cancellation has not been confirmed, and it is not apparent why the movie was pulled from Disney's calendar. The majority of fans believe that filmmaker Patty Jenkins is to blame. Jenkins' creative disagreements with franchise-led Kathleen Kennedy have already made headlines. These problems have caused delays in the past, as has Jenkins' work on Wonder Woman 3 and Cleopatra, creating scheduling difficulties. It absolves the narrow-minded studio that shelved a sure thing to some extent if the project was abandoned due to internal strife. But the way it was cancelled and Disney's reluctance to invest in a movie for the franchise point to regrettable double-dipping and a failure to take the proper lesson. Disney appears keen to create more and more original content for their Disney Plus service, keeping it all in-house. Movies are expensive, raise expectations, and let theaters keep a small portion of the proceeds for the success. Disney appears willing to take a lot of scripts that have the potential to be excellent films and turn them into 6 or 8 hour series. Rogue Squadron would make the most sense to eliminate first if they are truly committed to that course for the brand. It's difficult to say for sure right now, but the franchise is going through a difficult moment. It's unfortunate to see Rogue Squadron go, whether it was the result of creative disagreements or a corporate decision to change course. Watching Disney potentially shelve yet another eagerly awaited movie is unsettling, especially in light of the terrible cancellation of Batgirl and the seemingly gradual death of Warner Brothers that it heralded in. Disney has a product ready to go, but it may decide if it's more profitable to keep it on the ground for whatever reason. The reason behind the cancellation of Lucasfilm's Star Wars movie Rogue Squadron, according to a rumor, was Patty Jenkins. The source said the filmmaker was a nightmare to work with. Rogue Squadron was the planned title of the new Star Wars movie that Patty Jenkins was set to direct for Lucasfilm. The project was revealed by Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, on the day of Disney's investors presentation in 2020. For the presentation, Patty Jenkins even created a video in which she talked about how Rogue Squadron was the project she had been waiting for her entire life while dressed like a Star Wars pilot and standing on a runway. This follows the news that Jenkins' upcoming film, which was supposed to be the third Wonder Woman film, has also been cancelled. This time, Jenkins' idea was cancelled by the Warner Brothers and DC Studios. Following the announcement of that information, there were whispers that the filmmaker had already completed the screenplay for the film, but Warner Brothers execs weren't entirely happy with it and had given their feedback on how to make it better. Then, according to reports, she provided them with a link to a Wikipedia entry explaining what a character arc is. The final reason she left the movie was creative differences, a common excuse used by Marvel Studios to justify their actions to directors. Creative differences with Marvel Studios have caused the departure of notable figures from Marvel projects, including Edgar Wright and Scott Derrickson. That's all for today. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your thoughts in the comment section below. Until the next video, bye.